On a cold Maryland night in 1849, a young enslaved woman stood at the edge of the woods, staring into the darkness. Her real name was Araminta Ross,
Oh.
but the world would one day know her as Harriet Tubman, the woman who defied the slave system,
What?
rescued dozens from bondage, and earned the legendary title, Moses of America. But before she became a hero, she was simply a woman fighting for her own chance at freedom. Harriet had been born into slavery on the Broadus plantation in Dorchester County. Her childhood was marked by violence and fear. She saw brothers sold away, sisters taken to distant states, and families torn apart forever. At the age of 13, she suffered a skull fracture when a slave overseer threw a heavy metal weight that struck her head. The injury nearly killed her. For the rest of her life, she experienced seizures, dizzy spells, and strange, vivid dreams. While others saw these symptoms as illness, Harriet believed her visions were messages from God, warnings, guidance, and encouragement. In 1849, Harriet learned that she was about to be sold deeper into the South, where escape would be nearly impossible. Faced with losing everything she loved, she made an extraordinary decision. She would run. Late one night, she slipped away, guided only by her courage and the North Star. She hid in swamps, navigated through forests, and relied on the secretive network of abolitionists known as the Underground Railroad. After a long, dangerous journey, she crossed into Pennsylvania Free State. She later recalled that moment as the first time she breathed the sweet air of liberty. But Harriet's freedom brought her no peace. Her family was still enslaved. Her friends were still suffering. And so, instead of starting a new life for herself, Harriet made a radical choice. She would go back. She would return to the South again, and again to rescue others. Thus began one of the most remarkable rescue careers in American history. Harriet became a conductor on the Underground Railroad, and not just an ordinary one. She risked capture every time she crossed into slave territory. She traveled by night, moved in silence, and trusted her instincts. She carried a revolver not for violence, but to keep terrified escapees from turning back, because one person returning could expose the entire group. She memorized routes, used coded songs to communicate, and relied on her dreams, which she believed offered divine warnings of danger. Slave catchers hunted her relentlessly. Newspapers published rewards for her capture worth thousands of dollars in today's money. Yet Harriet was unstoppable. She never lost a single passenger. Not one. Her success was so astonishing that enslaved families whispered about a mysterious woman who appeared out of nowhere and led people to freedom. They compared her to the biblical figure Moses, who led the Israelites out of bondage. The name stuck. Harriet Tubman became known as Moses. Her impact extended far beyond the Underground Railroad. When the Civil War began in 1861, Harriet joined the Union Army. She served as a nurse, cook, scout, and intelligence agent. Her knowledge of Southern terrain made her invaluable. She gathered critical information, guided military units, and even disguised herself to move behind enemy lines. In 1863, she became the first woman in American history to lead a military operation, the Combahee River Raid in South Carolina. Union forces liberated over 700 enslaved people in one night, one of the largest mass rescues of the entire war. After the war, Harriet did not rest. She fought tirelessly for women's voting rights, speaking at suffrage conventions and demanding equality. She also built the Harriet Tubman Home for the Aged in Auburn, New York, where she cared for elderly African Americans until her final years. When asked how she found the courage to risk her life so many times, she famously replied, "I can't die but once." Harriet Tubman passed away in 1913, surrounded by people who admired and loved her. She died as she had lived, guided by faith, strengthened by courage, and devoted to freedom. Today her name stands not just as a chapter in American history, but as a symbol of hope, resistance, and unwavering bravery. Harriet Tubman was more than a rescuer. She was more than a soldier. She was a woman who carried a nation toward justice, one mission and one rescued soul at a time. A woman who truly earned the title Moses of America.